G'day, guys, and welcome back to Ados the Great YouTube channel. So, guys, for today's video, I will be going over 6 players I believe got snubbed from either the Queensland team or the New South Wales team for game one this year. Now, I would like to welcome any new subscribers or anyone watching this that's jumped over from TikTok. Shout out to you guys. You guys have been huge in supporting me this year as well. So I just want to give you guys a shout out. And if you are here, please do hit that sub button. It'd mean the absolute world to me if you'd stick around and subscribe, because I've got some amazing followers on TikTok. So if you guys could join the Great, just can't talk, Ados the Great train over here on YouTube, it'd mean the absolute world to me. Hit that sub button, guys. But yeah, so let's jump in. Let's talk about this. But first, I would like to go through a few names off the top of my head that I haven't included in this one. So honourable mentions, basically. So Jake Trbojevic is definitely an honourable mention. Jai Arrow, Reece Walsh, Reed Mahoney. There's a lot of players out there that didn't make it this year that obviously you could say were snubbed. But these are my 6 players. So let's get into them. Let me open up the bloody file because I've shut it like an idiot. Alrighty, Roo, where are you? Here we go. So, number 1, we've got Murraytualangi. Now, Murray has been enormous for the Cowboys this year and is part of the reason they are playing so well. Not only does he score tries, but he sets them up. As you can see here, we've got his 2022 stats. Now, these will be as of Saturday, the 4th of June. So both last night's game and Thursday night's game stats will be included in this one. So Murraytualangi has played 13 games. In those 13 games, he's scored 8 tries. He set up some tries as well. However, I didn't add those stats. But one try in particular was the one on Magic Round, the crazy. He kept that ball in, don't know how he did it, and the Cowboys scored. Scott Drinkwater, I believe it was. So yes, in 13 games, he scored 8 tries. He's made 38 tackle breaks, which is pretty good. He's also made 9 line breaks. In those 13 games, he averages 138 meters a game. So look, I completely get that Queensland, the centres and wingers are pretty much in place now. I don't think they will change this year. Selwyn Cobbo and Xavier Coates, I think, will be the wingers. Another player, an honourable mention, I guess you could say, is Corey Oates that was snubbed. But as I was saying, I think the Queensland wingers and centres are in place. Val Holmes and Dane Gagai in the centres definitely does pretty much lock in the players there. Now, if there's injury, I think Murraytualangi definitely should come into this side. Him and Valentine Holmes have chemistry, and that could help Queensland a lot as well. As we've seen, New South Wales have decided to bring in Stephen Crichton. I understand he's not in the starting 13, but he has chemistry with both the halves and Brian To'o. So, New South Wales have gone with a bit of chemistry there in bringing in Stephen Crichton. And I think Queensland could do a similar thing with Murraytualangi. All right, number 2, we've got Matt Burton. Now, a question for you guys: if Matt Burton was on the Panthers, do you think he makes Origin this year? Because personally, I think he slots into the centres, and Jack Whiten probably moves on to the bench. So I do think that if he's playing for the Panthers this year, he does make Origin. However, his stats this year are pretty good, even on the Bulldogs, although they are last on the ladder. So his 2022 stats look like this. He's played 13 games. He averages 1 forced dropout a game. So he's got 13 forced dropouts for the season. He's got 7 try assists, which realistically is a little bit low, but still not bad. He averages 435 meters per game. That's kick meters, and 72 meters run per game. So Matt Burton, he's looked really good on the Bulldogs. He's probably been their best player all season. really stepping up for them. And you know what? While the Bulldogs are struggling, I do think that him getting a full season in at the club, creating new. It's what I'm looking for here, not rotations, but I don't know, just helping with the chemistry and building some. I can't think of the word right now. It's just gone past me. But yeah, I think Matt Burton will help develop a lot of the younger players as well. He is still very young himself. So while this year may be a struggle, I do think that it was the right move for the Bulldogs. But in my opinion, if he's on the Panthers, he makes Origin even with these stats. Because these stats are not bad. They're really good stats. But he's on the Bulldogs, so he doesn't get a look in. Like another player that I'm here to talk about, Josh Carr. Now, amazing player, and he's had a good year for the Bulldogs as well. But again, as I'm saying, if he was on Melbourne Storm, would he make the New South Wales team? And I tend to think he would. Putting up stats like, he's obviously played, okay, so this isn't stat, but he's played 12 games this year. In those 12 games, he scored 8 tries, made 62 tackle breaks, which is extremely good, 11 line breaks, and 131 metres a game. So the stats are not bad. Yes, he's probably not scoring at the rate he was on the Melbourne Storm, but when you look at the team Melbourne had as well, Josh, he scored a lot more tries there. He does create his own tries, but a lot of them he does get set up from, and that's just the connection he has with his halves. But this was a pretty good stat line, and I think if Daniel Tupou, if they weren't going to go for height, I think Josh Adokar makes this team, and I think he's. You could say he's an Origin snub. So, let's look at the next player. This one comes from my South Sydney Rabbitohs, and I will have 2 Rabbitohs players in this one, so please don't hate me. I did have 2 Bulldogs players as well. So, this is just my opinions, guys. So, please do drop yours in the comments below. I'd love to see, where our opinions differ, or you guys might agree with me. I don't think everybody's going to have the exact same thought pattern when it comes to snubs. But this is probably, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Rabbitohs fan. I know I probably sound like a broken record, but in my mind, Campbell Graham is the biggest snub in 2022. His stats are ridiculously good. He's played 12 games, scored 4 tries, made 38 tackle breaks, 6 try assists for a centre is insane. 141 metres gained per game. Now the stats I haven't added. He averages around 19 tackles a game. Again, pretty big for a centre, but his tackle efficiency is 90%. Most centres average around 60 to 70% tackle efficiency, some around the 80% region. He sticks his tackles. He makes them stick. He's a workhorse defensively and offensively. In my opinion, this is the biggest snub of 2022. I would have had him there over Whiten, Crichton. Obviously you wouldn't put him over players like Latrell or Turbo, but I think this was a big mistake from the Blues. He is having an amazing season. For anyone that doesn't watch Rabbitohs football, obviously you're not going to see what we see, but the stats say it all. Like, Campbell is having an amazing season, and I think he was completely snubbed of an Origin spot. Another Rabbitoh that I think was snubbed, Keon Koloamatangi. Keon has been outstanding for the Rabbitohs. Again, another workhorse. He gets in there. He tries his heart out. He's a bloody machine. I love Keon. Definitely one of my favourite players on the Bunnies team. His 2022 stats look like 12 games, 4 tries, 23 tackle breaks, 28 tackles per game, and 123 metres per game. Now, the stats don't look as good as obviously some forwards like Isaiah Papali'is or stuff like that, Ryan Madison, who did make the team. But at the same time, it's what he brings to your team. He brings energy, efficiency. He's a workhorse. some games he'll make 19 tackles, some games he'll make 40. Like, I guess the consistency for that isn't there, but at the same time, like, he brings that energy to a team that every team needs. And I think that, a bench spot would have been perfect for Keon. I think he's made like 700 post contact meters this year. So again, that's crazy. Like, I think he's up there in the probably top 15 for post contact meters. So, that's something you've got to look into as well. I definitely think this is a snub, but that could just be my bias coming out. I guarantee you, though, Campbell Graham is not a biased take. That is an atrocity, in my opinion. He's just not getting looked at. He's not getting watched. He's not on anybody's radar. It's frustrating that he plays. He is 100% the most consistent player on the Rabbitohs in 2022. He has not had a bad game all season, and it frustrates me that Campbell didn't even get a look in. But we will talk about that another day. All right, and finally, the last player is Nicho Hines. All right, while I did say Campbell Graham is probably, well, in my opinion, he's the biggest snub, Nicho Hines is arguably the biggest snub. Nicho Hines has had an amazing season, played 12 games, 83 points, 12 forced dropouts, 7 try assists, and 118 meters a game for a half. That's amazing. He puts in 100% effort every game. He's almost single-handedly turned this Sharks team around. They're looking like a premiership contender at this point of the season. They've had a few inconsistent games over the past few weeks, but all in all, he's really turned this team from pretenders to contenders this season. So I think Nicho is definitely snubbed. Obviously, he is in the extended squad, I do believe, but he should be at the very least the 14th man. That is just my opinion, and I rate Nicho Hines very highly. But yes, guys, that is going to wrap it up for me today. Hopefully it wasn't that long of a video. We're sitting around the 13-minute mark, I think, so not too bad, but not too good either. I didn't want to talk too long in this one, but the Campbell Graham one really got to me. I truly, solely believe that Campbell Graham was absolutely snubbed this year in game one. He may still get a crack, but I doubt it now. I'd say Latrell Mitchell comes back and they probably keep Katoni Staggs there in the centres. But let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with these picks, or do you think I've missed out on some key players? Because I know, like Jake Trbojevic, Joy Arrow, Reece Walsh, just to name a few, did get snubbed. We were talking about Corey Yates before as well. So there have been a few players that were snubbed. I've heard people say a player like the Hammer got snubbed. Look, the Hammer hasn't been as good as he was last year. He hasn't been that electric, or I don't think he's done as much as he usually does. Basically, he's been a bit inconsistent this year. So I don't think I rate the Hammer as an Origin snub. But he was very good on the weekend. But that is going to wrap it up from me, though, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to hear your opinions. Thank you all so much for your support. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.